in that area that we've just designated. Because if we can get the Conservation Authority to oversee the work, then we can bypass the Ministry of Natural Resources and getting that letter of opinion, which can take a long time and is very frustrating. So, and it's the same thing, everything's done under best management practices, but they oversee it and they can act on the ministry's behalf.
I see them as being both the conservation authorities as being very instrumental in the education portion of it.
Yes.
They go to a lot of schools, they go to a lot of things to get that out. The other thing I see is we've talked at the county, and I'm glad Jason's here with the county. The county has talked and they're putting money in budget towards doing something, and they need an area to do that in, and I think a really good first step would be to drag them to Lambton Shores to be the test area, and we need to, whether it's a letter of support because of what you've done from this council to the committee, and then the deputy mayor is part of that committee now, so she would have to get it pushed through that we're number one on the list for the test area. I think that I'm sure that would work in. I have one question for the county though. I noticed they clean out the ditches. North of the county building, they did all the cleaning out of the ditches that is full of Phragmites. Where did they put it? If I may, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I think we need to know where.
The risk I take when I come. Maybe I can best answer that by saying that we're looking very forward to a municipal best practices program, which Nancy has indicated may come forward later in the fall.
Right.
We have carried on as business as usual, and which would be just a normal disposal of our material to local areas, and I think what we're starting to recognize is that in these areas where Phragmites is present, there's better practices, and we can start to educate our employees better and develop our own management plan.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Dec.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up with regards to St. Clair region. I've seen reports that show that they actually own equipment like Franklin Turnos for spraying and for addressing the issues. So they may not have money to do something extra, but they have some resources, I think, that we should be able to access since we're paying a significant amount into the levy there for St. Clair.
I don't know if they do. Jason, do you know if St. Clair, you deal with St. Clair Conservation, do you know if they have equipment that can?
I'm sorry, I'm not aware.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
I have seen pictures of it and they were reporting on their work. It wasn't Frank Paterno who was doing it, from what I saw. So, anyways, we'll maybe have to follow up on that to see who exactly it was, if it was hired consultants or otherwise. But I'm just interested in the grants. And just wondering what specifically you applied for in those grants, what work you would hope to achieve with that amount of money, and what the actual amount of money is, and what time frames you think that you might know back by. Do you have any estimation on that?
I'm know any moment. The grant, we've applied, Kate Monk applied on our behalf. And Bill McDonald and myself worked with her, and I have to say it was quite impressive. It looked really, really good. We have asked for $25,000, and the $25,000 will be for Port Franks to do burn, low density or low complexity prescribed burn, and just continue doing the follow-up. So that's, and we are really hoping that we find out pretty soon whether or not we have been approved. There has been communication going back and forth between Kate and the Great Lakes team, but so far no word has been given.
Is it your expectation that because it's becoming a heated issue in Ontario that more grant monies will become available for these projects? Are you hearing that on the ground, that there may be monies coming?
Janice might be able to.
Yeah. Yes, I was at a binational meeting for Lake St. Clair initiatives, and I happened to have lunch with a fellow from Environment Canada, and he was saying that Well, actually, I'm not sure for Lake Huron, but for Lake Erie, was his area of specialty, there will be some funds coming from the federal level for habitat restoration on the Great Lakes. So I'm hoping we can start tapping into that.
Be prepared for that and ready to go on the
Yes.
I mean,
And we've invited them to the Ontario Fragmite Working Group, so we're hoping to bend his ear on the broader issue. Because they're not on board, or not aware.
are the
They're
grant,
aware of the Fragmite issue, they're just not engaged at this point.
are the grant dollars matching dollars, or are they straight grant dollars?
I think they're straight.
They're straight grants,
They're
they're
not-
good
grant.
to
Okay.
leverage, so.
Counselor Scott?
One of the things that Nancy didn't really mention a whole lot about is they've done the initial spray of stuff, but they have to go back and follow up, because no matter how many times they spray an area or how many times they work with an area, there's always regrowth. So some of the money that would come back from some of the grants would be used to help maintain the regrowth, because one of the things that you want to do is keep that growth not happening in the future, like you have to keep after it. They did the beach last year. This year you had to go back and do a small section because it regrew. Now it doesn't seem to grow as tall, does it?
It hasn't been,
I didn't think it was as tall, the ones that I saw, but it's there, so you have to do that. So you're looking for money from the municipality to put into a pot to perhaps retain Janus, to perhaps retain the coastal. Have you any idea what kind of dollars you're looking for?
we put in the package, we put 15,000, okay? What we want to do is, if indeed this becomes a model that is looked at by other counties and municipalities across Ontario, then it's really important that we keep records. And Janice has been doing sampling, like in Kettle Point. She has been taking soil samples and looking at the residue and all of those kinds of things. So there's a lot of detail that would go into that report. In addition, we're now looking at ditches, and like some of the ditches, not the whole of the municipality, but some of the ditches in this, if we get this targeted area.
Because they feed right into the lake.
Right. So there's a whole different, like a plan is really important. A plan is really important. And there have been times when situations have come up that Kate Monk, for example, said to me, well, when do we get the plan? Because we've needed that to give us some direction.
And you're working on that, right?
Yes.
That's
Janice
what you're working on
So,
right now.
yeah, and to address your question, which I think is like the long term, because the big funding hit is at the initial stage, because you're dealing with hiring a Frank Letourneau to come and deal with the big dense frag stands. The idea is to build local capacity so that the local community group can then manage what comes back. Like once the big cells are under control, then it's just an ongoing management situation year to year to year, and the funding will drop significantly once the main frag stands are under control. That's the big hit right there along your shoreline, in your wetlands, your natural habitat, and in your ditches. Because we're always going to have, because it's not controlled in the province, there's always going to be new inoculation from outside of your municipality. So that's the next step, getting your bordering municipalities on board so they can control it in their areas. And it's a long-term management strategy. And there, so it comes up on a beach, you've got local groups there that recognize it, go pull it out. Like before it gets to the bad stage that it's at now. That's the intent, to build local on-the-ground capacity that it can be dealt with very quickly and very cost efficiently, or minimal cost.
So going back to that, you're looking to hire a couple services. You're looking for the municipality to do some input and data keeping for us. Is that the concept? Like
Yeah, the
like
access
the
to the
GIS
stuff.
mapping, maybe the documentations and the reports and the various other things, so that there's something in a library. Is that more or less?
Yeah, so the
Okay.
the money is essentially for the management plan, to get that strategy in place, and to get this training workshop off the ground and get a model set for, to see